Hello Libra, and welcome to Embrace the Moon Tarot. I'm Donna, and I am here to give you your July 2017 Tarotscope. As I'm shuffling, I feel like there's a sense of coming out of something. You were in a hole previously, and you're climbing out. Coming out of a cave kind of concept. Kind of seeing the light of day after having a while of not having the light of day, maybe. And I feel that that overall sense of that darkness that you were in, that cave or that hole that you dug yourself out of, you weren't there for a really long time. It's not like you've been there for a really long time and you're finally coming out of it. I feel like it was just basically for a week or two. Things were kind of not really looking too great or feeling too great. So you were kind of in a dark place for about a week or two. So it's a fairly new cave, but it was still dark enough that, you know, when you're coming out, the climb out of the hole was a struggle. Coming out of the cave into the light has you pausing for a moment. Either way, you're just coming out, coming into the sunlight. And you don't have any expectations, actually. You're at a pause, I feel. Those of you who are Libras who are watching this right now, you're at a pause. You managed to climb out of that hole. You managed to come out to the mouth of that cave, and you're at a pause. You don't have any expectations. You don't even really have any considerations of what just transpired. You're just at the threshold, and you're not really thinking or feeling anything. You're just there. So let's see what kind of energy and vibrations we can look forward to for the month of July 2017. Current energy. Physical. Mental. Emotional, spiritually, strength, possible obstacle, recent past, and potential future. Make sure that is in. Good. All right, so recent past, we have 8 of Swords. And definitely, like I said, I felt like you were at a point of being stuck for some reason. And it shows. And whatever it was that transpired, you felt like you had no choice. You felt like you were there and there was nothing you could do about it, and you just had to bide your time to wait it out, to wait until you saw an opening, saw a clearing. You just had to go with the flow. You had to move when you were saw the chance to move. You stopped when you saw the chance to stop. You went with the flow, whatever it was, even though it was kind of, there was lacking light and you felt stuck. You didn't stop completely. You didn't wallow in it. You went with the flow. You recognized that if you wanted to get out of it, you had to go with the flow. But you recognized that you were stuck. And I think that's why it didn't last very long. I feel like I said, that you weren't there for a long time. It's not like this is something that was months and months and months. It's just one of those things where for about a week or two, something happened, things kind of unraveled, you got tossed in a hole or tossed in a cave or whatever, you were stuck and you just had to feel your way out of it very precautiously. But you did. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. As you're standing at this threshold, you know, at the mouth of the cave and in the blinding sunlight, as you're, you know, kind of getting your wits about you, or as you climbed out of this hole and you're exhausted and you're standing or laying there waiting for you to kind of get your bearings again, whatever scenario you want to go with, I think that first and foremost, it's very important for you to understand that you went with it like you were supposed to. You wrote it out like you were supposed to. You went with the flow as you were supposed to, which is why it didn't last long. It could have lasted longer. And those of you who are come upon this and you feel that you haven't gotten onto that threshold, you haven't climbed out of the hole, I would say that probably the blockage is that you're not going with the flow. You need to recognize that you are in a stuck position, but you just need to inhale as the world inhales and exhales as the world exhales. Just kind of go with the flow and work your way out slowly but cautiously, and you'll finally get to that threshold that you want to be at. But I feel like the most of you who have stumbled upon this, you were there and you've managed to come out, and you're just kind of waiting at the threshold, trying to figure out what the next step is. But you're too tired and the light is too blinding for you to even realize that, which is why we come to the current energy, which is the Empress upside down. And I feel like that is that concept of you feel disconnected. You are just, like I said, you're on the threshold. You're so overwhelmed of finally having made it out of whatever this dark place was. And you're just standing in the threshold, exhausted and blinded and kind of uncertain. Like, it's just this stimulation of finally getting out of that position and seeing the light is almost too much for you all at once. So you're stopped in your tracks. It's like a deer in headlight kind of feeling right now, because you're not quite sure where you're supposed to go. And some of that might be because you're not quite sure what even happened. You're not quite sure what threw you in the hole. You're not quite sure what kept you in that hole. You're not quite sure how you even knew how to move to get out of the hole or the cave. So it's just a lot to take in. So you feel very disoriented. And that's why we have the Empress upside down, because you're just disconnected. You don't feel grounded. You don't feel connected to the intuitive side. You're not yet. There's an uncertainty of as far as where you need to go, where to start, how to nurture yourself, how to heal. You don't even know if you need to heal. You're just, like I said, deer in headlights is the way you're feeling right now. And it's quite overwhelming to the point of you're so overstimulated, you're almost shut down. But that's just current. I feel like that's going to pass. It's going to dissipate at a steady rate, not quickly. It's not going to happen, within an hour or two or anything like that. You're not going to have this recognition and then be able to turn around and be like, now that I realize this, I can turn things around. I feel like it's going to take a little bit longer than that, but I feel like it's going to dissipate. This feeling of disconnection is going to dissipate at a steady enough rate. It'll be like being washed over almost, being cleansed of all of this that you had, which if you notice, there is a little bit of cleansing going on. It looks like she's kind of in the rain. So I feel like it's going to happen. You're not going to be stuck here. You're not going to be staying here for a long time. That disorientation that you feel is definitely not going to last as long as that stuck feeling that you had prior to this. This is going to dissipate quite quickly, and it's just going to be this slow but steady washing away that you're going to experience. And it's going to, like I said, be steady enough that you'll recognize it and you'll feel the relief that it brings. And just be in that moment when it happens. Don't try to rush it. Just kind of be in the moment. So what we have as far as going from this position and moving towards the rest of July, whatever July has, we have in the physical, we have the Three of Wands. And I feel that this definitely just already is validating what I have already spoken from this Empress card, which is don't rush it. Don't try to act quickly. Don't try to rush into anything at all. You want to take your time. You want to get oriented. You want to get grounded. You want to make sure that you have a solid footing before you start implementing any action, whatever that action may be. So take your time to get from a reversed Empress to an upright Empress. Make sure that you have the time to get the muck and mire and the mud from that dark place washed off of you before you take action, any action, before you make any choices. before you move into anything big, any sort of transition or anything whatsoever. You want to make sure that you have taken the time to wash away whatever Eight of Swords is still lingering on you, and you get to where you are upright, an Empress upright, connected, grounded, intuitively understanding of yourself and what transpired and where to go before you take any action, making any sort of change within your physical realm, within that which makes up your own personal world. And that is all encompassing. I think that that means, you know, business oriented, that's within your home life, within your career life, within your community, within your whatever it is that makes up your own personal reality, your own physical universe that you reside in every day. Make sure that you have gotten yourself upright from that Eight of Swords experience before you start taking any sort of action whatsoever. And I feel that that's the point of this card being here. It's more of a warning. Take your time. Allow yourself to ground and recenter from this experience before you take any sort of action whatsoever. And I think that this is going to continue into the mental, where we have the Page of Swords, which is basically saying you want to take your time. Take your time in putting forth your thought processes, putting forth, taking the time to try to come towards some sort of clarifying mindset, perception before you move on. Like I said, you want to get your Empress upright. You want to be able to ground yourself. The more grounded you are and the more understanding you have of this might not be completely clear. I feel that the bulk of you may never clearly understand what it is that transpired through you into this Eight of Swords experience, but understanding as much as you can, understanding as much as has been presented to you to understanding whatever it is that you need to understand to make the shift so that you can feel grounded when you're done thinking about it. That is what's going to be taking place within your mind. That's what you're being recommended to take place. You could avoid this, obviously, if you don't want to give it any consideration, but you know, this is sort of advice from the universe. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to spend some of July doing. You want to be considering all that you can, all that's presented, all the information that you have from a neutral point of view, from a point of view that is not tainted by the experience, which is going to take some time, because sometimes when we experience this, it's hard to say what kind of emotion we carry with us as we move forward. You want to take the time to free yourself as you wash away the dirt and grime. You want to wash away any sort of tainted considerations that we have regarding everything that was involved in the specific experience, and try to think of it from a very innocent-minded point of view, from a very childlike point of view, to be compassionate and forgiving, and to have a filter like you would think of a child whenever something happens to them, how they have a tendency to be very compassionate, to be very forgiving. Your thought process as you continue to think about what has happened, it is suggested that you filter this through the thought process of being almost akin to an innocent child. Have compassion. And I feel like this is just not towards whoever else was involved, because I don't know how much, I feel like there's not a very many of you that there was other or external experience people that kind of put you in this Eight of Swords. Some of you, I feel that it was very personal. It was something that you kind of domino effect onto yourself, but you didn't realize it, and you're probably going to come to that realization eventually. So, you know, when you're kind of thinking throughout the next couple weeks regarding what transpired and trying to get yourself upright and grounded and rooted and connected intuitively, it is advised to you to take all of this in consideration through the filter of childlike eyes, and be compassionate and nurturing and loving and forgiving. And if it's to other people, that's fine, but also to yourself. We have a tendency not to be as compassionate and forgiving towards ourselves. So no matter who is involved with this experience, no matter who it is you're supposed to be considering, be compassionate, most especially with yourself regarding all of that has transpired. And I feel like there's kind of an ongoing theme a little bit in the month of July. Sometimes these are separate, but I feel like they are connected. And emotionally, we have the Two of Swords. And I feel that this is just tapping back into that mentally, what you're going to be taking the time in month of July. You're being asked to filter it through with the compassion of innocent childlike eyes, an innocent childlike point of view. But you're going to need to go internally for this, and emotionally you're going to have to figure out how you can release that which taints or makes it impossible to be compassionate with that of a forgiving childlike mentality. Emotionally, you are going to be going through a little bit of kind of cutting away, looking deeper, getting to know yourself deeper so that you can actually be compassionate towards yourself and forgiving, and who else may ever be, let me try that again. And who else may be involved with whatever's going on, not just with the experience, but maybe the after fact. I feel like some of this might have to do not so much with the specific experience that you had in the past, but as you move forward in the aftermath that's coming from this, and what you're going to be going through is you're processing all of this information, and you're processing these emotions, and you're processing these thought processes. You're going to be going through a little bit of an emotional upheaval, which means you're going to need to take the time to make sure that you look deep within yourself, so that you can know yourself better and know how to respond, so that you can come out of this feeling, like I said, like an Empress upright, feeling connected, feeling grounded, and feeling completely and ultimately healed from not just this, but the aftermath, and then going further into the future. So emotionally, you're going to have to take some time out and just get to know yourself, working internally to get to know yourself. And as a result of all this, if you do this, if you pause and don't take action right away, and you filter your experience before, during, and after through the eyes of a child, and you go internally and you work on yourself internally, it's going to create this beautiful cycle where spiritually, within your soul, your inner being, that which makes up your core, you're going to feel connected, but not just connected on the concept of being grounded and connected to intuition and having that nurturing, self-healing connection, but going a little bit higher, having the capacity to go beyond, look beyond, perceive things from beyond what is right in front of you, instead of what is immediately visible to you. You're going to be able to have a better perception of beyond that, beyond your current reality, and what you can gain. And I feel like there's going to be some connections and synchronicities spiritually that's going to really have you feeling like your intuition is better than it's ever been before. And a lot of times that's what happens. We have some sort of spiritual awakening, or some means of having a better connection, from being able to connect and see behind the veil, see beyond what is in our current reality, see beyond, today or just tomorrow and what have you, after we've had some sort of chaos. A lot of times when we go through these sorts of experiences, the end result is we are better connected and are able to see into the wild unknown, as they say. So your strength is the Five of Swords, and I feel like your strength is going to be having the capacity to really sift through everything and taking only what is yours and leaving what is not. So I feel like there's a lot of what transpired that is not going to be completely clear. It's not clear. It wasn't clear when it happened. It wasn't clear when you were going through it. It wasn't clear when you came out of it. It's not clear now. And there's parts of it that will never be clear. You will never understand. You will never get all the information regarding whatever it was that transpired, whatever it was that caused this to happen, whatever it was that brought this into your life. Your strength is going to be you having the capacity to let that go. Don't take that with you. Don't try to work through this and try to dig and dig and dig and to find the answers that aren't clear for you, because you're going to dig yourself into a hole. Your strength is going to be just taking that which you already know and understand and having the capacity to leave the rest. And if you have the capacity to leave the rest, you leave space in your life for more growth and more expansion on so many different levels. But if you take that baggage that you're not supposed to take with you, the universe can't give you more. You do not have space for more for you to carry as you leave this, whatever this was. So your strength is going to be letting it go. And as a result of that, you're going to be given so much more as you move more into the end of July and into August. Your obstacle for the month is the Queen of Swords, and I feel that this is definitely kind of letting you know, it's throwing back to that needing to let go. Don't spend too much time in your head. Don't spend too much time trying to apply human emotion to analytical thought and try to come up with a healing, logical end scenario. You're not going to get that melding together as much as you want it to. You might think that you can. The more you think about it, you might see that you can possibly get those puzzle pieces to fit together. But if you force it, you might get it together, but it's not going to be a clean puzzle. It's not going to be a clean fit. This is going to be an obstacle for you, and it's going to, I feel that if you spend too much doing this, you are not going to have the opportunity to be able to tap into the wild unknown that you have. You're not going to have the capacity or the potential of being able to have that higher connection spiritually that you've been hoping for, that you've been working for, that you were hoping as that would be the end result of all of this. Because if nothing else, at least you'll have that. But you won't have this if you spend too much time trying to meld together how you think compassion should look like and how you think all of what you know should meld with that. You can't force it. And even if you do manage to force it together, it's not going to be a strong temple of which for you to live in, for which you to be able to reach to a higher level spiritually. So this is going to be an obstacle for you. It can be a strength for you if you learn how to let go, but if you don't, it can be an obstacle for you. So I do feel this is all very deeply connected, and if you don't do what you need to as far as these cards are concerned, you're not going to get upright, or at least not upright right away. The potential of that having a nice steady process, you can block, you can limit. So be very aware that you don't do that. If you do what it takes to manifest and move from this accordingly as it has been presented to you, you have the potential of ending July with an Ace of Cups. You have the potential of ending July feeling like emotionally you are more fulfilled than when you started the month. Feeling more fulfilled than when you even got stuck in that Eight of Swords emotionally. And internally, I feel like this is predominantly emotionally. Like, you can connect this with the spiritual, intuitive side if you want to, but I feel that this is going to be a very healing, emotional experience for you if you allow it, if you give it the capacity, if you release what you need to release to create the space. Your emotional cup can be overflowing. There's a peace that you can have within yourself, better than you had even before you entered the Eight of Swords moment. But you kind of have to take part. You've got to make sure that you're doing your part in this. Standing at the threshold and being okay with it and waiting for things to happen isn't going to help. Waiting for a sign isn't going to get you there. You have to do the work, and all the work is going to be within how you perceive, how you go about to thinking, and what you do with the information that you receive. But you can have, like I said, an Ace of Cups, feeling like your emotional cup is overfilled, feeling that peace that you come when you feel balanced emotionally. So I'm going to go ahead and pull an oracle card to kind of give you... So I'm going to pull an oracle card to kind of give you a little bit of something to carry you through the month. So that way, if you can't return to this video anytime that you feel like you needed to kind of go over anything, you have a little bit of a message that you can carry with you that'll remind you whatever it is that you need to be reminded of in the moment. So kind of a mantra, I guess you can say. So let's see what we can pull for you. Lead your metamorphosis. So this is basically what I ended up saying towards the end of the reading, which is you have to do your part. Obviously, you're not going to be taking any significant action, as this card said, that's going to alter anything regarding the physical realm as far as what your personal world is. But there's a metamorphosis that's going to be occurring within you with how you think, how you perceive, how you release what you need to release, how you view yourself, how you give the compassion that you're supposed to be giving to yourself, how you can help yourself heal from this and move on, not just heal and move on, but to be bigger, better, expanded more, and end the month with peace and feeling like your cup is overflowing. But you have to be the leader of that. If you want it to happen, do your part. And it's not just all action, obviously. Most of it, like I said, it's happening in your head. But it's not just what's happening in your head. It's your ability to know what to release. It's your ability to see it through the eyes of a child and being compassionate, being forgiving, and being loving while you are going through this change. So lead your metamorphosis. That is your mantra for this month. All right, Libra, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you, for stopping by and watching this. I hope you have a wonderful July, and I hope I see you in August.